Groundhog's Day was like a week ago, I guess now, but we keep saying this thing over and over again, that many of President Biden's policies make good, mainstream media headlines. They sound really good, but in reality, they tend to work out to be pretty damaging, whether it's the economy or different aspects of the country. The proposal to raise the minimum wage to $15 is a perfect example of this, right? Lindsay mentioned this earlier. It's like everybody goes, hey, great, I get $15 an hour, but then doesn't actually play out that well when it comes to the theory of it. And apparently Team Biden has seen the light. He has now admitted that a $15 minimum wage won't be included in that massive COVID relief bill, but he says he will eventually push for higher wages. Our next guest happens to be a former businesswoman who knows about the impact that things like this have on businesses. Let's welcome back to the show freshman Congresswoman Lisa McClain of Michigan. Congresswoman, good to see you again.
Hey, great to be here. How are you?
Well, thanks. First, condolences on the loss of your colleague, Ron Wright from Texas. He passed away earlier from COVID-19. Obviously, that was probably a big shock to you and your colleagues. Yeah. So our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family. But I want to get back to this idea. You are a former businesswoman. You come from that sector. And today, the Nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office came out with a report which shows the impact a $15 minimum wage would have. It cuts 1.4 million jobs by 2025. It would increase the federal deficit by $54 billion over 10 years. And it also says that it would drive the price of goods and services higher because wages would go up. So, I mean, as someone from the sector, explain to me what the impact of that would have on somebody who owns, say, a small business in Michigan.
It's detrimental. I mean, as a person who's spent 30 plus years in the business, who's actually had to sign the front of paychecks, not just the back of paychecks, this policy is horrible. It is a bumper sticker pipe dream that never works. And what it's going to lead to, it's going to lead to more unemployment. It's going to lead to people not hiring. Think about it this way. We're already strangled. Businesses are already strangled by the COVID policies, right? A lot of restaurateurs are at 25%. And now we are going to overlay and tell them you can only run your business at 25% and you have to pay your employees more. Those policies don't work. That disincentivizes businesses to hire more people. And with a 7%, almost 7% unemployment rate, I don't understand how that makes sense as an employer, as a business owner at all.
Yeah. Congressman, an interesting thing, this happened recently. Amazon is pushing for a $15 minimum wage. They say they could help 32 million U.S. workers. They pay their own employees $15, which good on them. I think that's fantastic. They say it helps morale. Of course it does. But the irony here is they have actually profited from this pandemic. They are a huge corporation who can afford to pay their employees $15 an hour. For them to be putting pressure on the federal government to do so for some of these small businesses, isn't that kind of interesting during this time in a global pandemic?
It's very interesting. But again, let the free market play out. If Amazon wants to pay their employees $15 an hour, $20 an hour, then let them do that. But don't dictate what the mom and pop shop needs to pay their employees. Let the free market dictate, not the government. That's not our job to dictate what a business owner is going to pay their employees. It's the free market's job.
Well, and the interesting thing about it, Lindsay and I were talking about this before the show, that, number one, the minimum wage was never meant to be a living wage. It was meant to be for seasonal workers, part-time workers, people who had, just wanted to delve into the labor market for whatever reason, or students. So when you kind of start increasing it from the $7.25 where it is now up to this, to $15, it kind of has a ripple effect upwards, so that the guy who is making 15 says, well, then I'm not going to make 50 anymore. I want to make 20 or 25. And it just keeps pushing wages on everybody else up. So if you were making $20 an hour, you're going to say, well, now I want to get, I need to make 25 or 30.
There's nothing positive that's going to come from the government dictating to businesses what wage they need to pay. That's the free market's job. That's the business owner's job. It's real easy to spend other people's money. Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Congressman, before we let you go, got to get your take on this because I know you've been very outspoken about it. You've been pushing hard to have schools in Michigan reopen. How are things going so far there?
Slow, very slow. I mean, all the science shows that we need to get our children back in school. We're trying to open up, but we're not opening up fast enough. I believe the schools, the parents, the administrators can figure out how to keep the children safe in schools. I mean, and educate our children. If we don't get our children back in school, in person learning full time quick, we're going to lose a whole generation.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you. It's amazing to me. And I mean, it's kind of weird that we're having this debate, you know, basically as we head into March. There's only a couple months left of the school year.
You're spot on, 100%. The kids want and need to go back into school. And we always talk about follow the science, follow the science. Well, let's follow the science and get the kids back into school.
Yeah, but the caveat to that rule, you know how there's that I before E, except insert, like except with neighbor and way. The new one is follow the science until the teachers union says differently. Then you don't do it, because that's what's going on right now. It's the union saying we don't want to follow the science, and they're like, oh, okay. Anyway, Congresswoman Lisa McClain, thanks for being back with us. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Anytime. Thank you.